Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Wednesday, January 20th. I'm Gary Stevens. Top of the hour, we'll have CBS News Radio coverage of the inauguration of Joe Biden as President of the United States. And we'll have open line tomorrow on WHTC's Talk of the Town, although it'll be somewhat limited, because on tomorrow's program, we'll be joined by Dr. Ulf Hurlwimmer, the allergist, as well as carrying the funeral service of former Holland Mayor Lou Hallisey before Wellspring from Spectrum Health Zeeland Community Hospital. In our final segment for this Wednesday, we normally do this on the third Friday of the month, but we moved it to today. So without much further ado, time now for Clerk's Corner with Allegan County Clerk and Register of Deeds, Bob Genetski, joining us via the Zoom connection. Not as notoriously splendid in in attire as one Don Cherry would have been, but we call this Clerk's Corner in deference to the former Boston Bruin coach. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Gary. It's great to be back on Talk of the Town on this beautiful day with the snow falling outside and the Red Wings at 500.
Not bad, not bad at all. First of all, Happy New Year to you and your family from all of us here at WHTC. Let's talk a little hockey. Bob, of course, one of the biggest hockey fans we have in our area. Red Wings with a nice overtime win. Bobby Ryan, I didn't know he got drafted ahead of a couple of people that might be in the Hall of Fame, but he's got 4 goals in 3 games. Not bad.
Yeah, made Red Wings history. That's pretty exciting. And I'll tell you, between he and Dylan Larkin so far, it's been a fun, interesting season to watch. And you know, from my standpoint, to see the Hawks and the Red Wings back in one division together, I'm always yearning for that old Norris division again. So I'm a pretty happy guy. But to have the Red Wings start off, 4 games in at 500 is a pretty good thing. Prior to the season, I was reading an article about how Carolina should be lucky they're in the same division as basement dwellers, Red Wings and Blackhawks. Well, the Wings stole one from Carolina, and that's a good thing. And if they can keep stealing some and having the young talent work out, I think we'll be in great shape.
500 season, playoff berth, certainly a goal for Jeff Blashill's Red Wings. The Blackhawks 0 for Florida, and unfortunately, that's not going to be an easy trip whenever the Wings or the Hawks going down there. You have the defending Stanley Cup champions and a team that under Joel Quenneville could do some noise in the playoffs in the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, definitely. Quenneville does well wherever he goes. He gets the most out of talent. I liken him to the old Mike Keenan, who used to be able to get blood from a turnip, if you will. And then, you know, the Hawks, whenever you start off against Tampa Bay, I think that's a tough scheduling. And the new format where you're playing 2 games, basically wherever you go in your division is going to be a challenge. If you're not up for every game, you're going to leave Tampa Bay 0-2 every time.
One other hockey note, by the way, first of all, we'll tell you Wings and Hawks meet in Chicago Friday. 7:45 broadcast on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. Griffin's about ready to start their season very shortly, and it'll be nice to have that back. Unfortunately, the K-Wings taking the year off because, you know, you need fans in order to pay the money. Now, granted, Dan DeVos has a little bit of money to keep Griffins afloat, but still, it's nice to get the minor leaguers back, too.
It is. You know, we need and we deserve our distractions through all the nonsense of 2020 and all the COVID. People want the opportunity to follow their sports teams, and the Griffins have a real special place in a lot of people's hearts. So in part because they're a lot more affordable than the NHL product right now.
395-1450, 395-1450. Let's talk about Bob Genetski's day job, which is Clerk and Register of Deeds. I'll bring this subject up first to you, as I did an hour ago with Ottawa County Clerk and Register of Deeds, Justin Roebuck. We talked about risk-limiting audits of the November 2020 election have begun not only in the state but across the country. Justin, I will refer our listeners to the podcast, explain the process and how it is done. But on your side, you feel that maybe this is something that maybe an extra step we really don't need. Explain your thoughts about this risk limiting audits process.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the risk limiting audit. I think it's one more sign of Lansing completely being out of touch with smaller and rural counties. A lot of my local clerks are struggling with the directions. I think the rollout was difficult to understand, and in the end, a better manner of doing things would have been the hand count of individual races, jurisdiction by jurisdiction. Now, understand, Gary, that we do that in a formal audit after the election process. Each county clerk is assigned a local jurisdiction to go and perform a hand count of certain races. In this case, we were assigned the U.S. Senate races. We have to count through every ballot and make sure that number is at least very, very, very close to the numbers that were reported on election night, and those usually come out to be really good. And those are open to the public. So I think the public coming and seeing and being a part of that is really important. The risk limiting audit I just see as one more opportunity for Lansing to send out a press release patting themselves on the back. Understand that in Allegan County, we've got some tremendous local clerks that work very hard, but also the overwhelming bulk of our township clerks are part-time. They have other jobs. Some of them are farmers and work in offices and do real estate and sell cars. They do other things, and we keep dragging them in to do more and more work that they don't get paid anymore to do. It also becomes an unfunded mandate when you drag in your one Democrat and one Republican to come and pull that ballot out. So I'm not a fan of it. In addition, I think it's more built for other states that by law have to put their ballots away in the same manner that they were tabulated. So when you go through that stack of ballots and pull out ballot number 153, and they can match that up against what it was said to be on a computer or whatever, I suppose that makes more sense. But I'm not a fan. I think it's more waste out of Lansing, and I think it's an abuse to our local clerks to keep dragging them back to do this. Whereas the regular audit that does the formal hand count of every ballot and every particular race, it does a much better and more respected job.
But in this situation, and apparently this is something that's new, and I'm not certain whether or not it's something that's a byproduct of what happened back in November, but anything that is done to make sure that this process is above board, that the election was held clean, anything to make sure that everything was on the up and up. If it has to be done, it has to be done.
I have no problem with audits. Again, I like the ones that we were assigned to do. They're a lot of work. Sometimes you're at a local jurisdiction for hours or an entire day counting ballots. But I think that the risk limiting audit doesn't prove really what they are setting out to prove. And I have yet to meet anybody who said, "Oh, I saw the risk limiting audit that changed my mind about everything." If we're going to be auditing things, let's go through and audit the signatures on AV ballots and make sure that people were doing their jobs for that, and things that I think are a little more in people's area of concern. But I have yet to find anybody whose life has been changed by the risk limiting audit, except for a lot of clerks who are seeing Lansing create extra work for them, which is not a popular thought in Allegan County to begin with.
395-1450, 395-1450. If you have a question for Allegan County Clerk and Register of Deeds, Bob Genetski. Is this a one-off thing with this risk limiting audit? Is this something that's going to be now permanent, whenever we have a statewide election, be it in 2022 for governor or 2024 for president?
Yeah, no, it's been around. I think this is the second or third cycle that it's been done. And whenever you hear the term audit, I think you're exciting because you think it's going to magically prove something that maybe people had a question about. I don't know that this style or format does that. And rather than this style, I'd really prefer that statewide we do more hand counts and more jurisdictions. And I think, again, those need to be open to the public. Understand the RLAs, the risk limiting audits are open to the public, but I don't think that impresses a whole lot of people digging through a full container, pulling out 3 or 4 ballots and uploading those to the state. I don't see the magic, and I want people to believe in elections and the processes. And until I see the magic in this, I'm not gonna hoot and holler for it. There are several counties that sat out this time. I wouldn't be surprised if there are more counties sitting out next time, given the lack of quality direction and instruction from Lansing. I know that my locals are annoyed They're not annoyed that they have to do work. They don't mind that. But I think if they were of the belief that we're going to prove something legitimate that people had concern about, they'd feel a lot better about it.
395-1450 if you want to chat with Allegan County Clerk and Register of Deeds Bob Genetski. At least it was done in the public eye. And that's the thing I think people want to see. They don't want to have it done behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room like the old image of political backroom politics.
Yep. No, nobody wants that. And I think that's, we want to do everything in the public eye that we can. Keep in mind when we did those audits shortly after election, after the November election, we're told we had to go to the local jurisdictions and hand count the ballots. Those are open to the public as well. I had more of the public participate in those this year than any other year, and I felt good about it, and I think they felt good about it too when they left and saw all the processes to protect the integrity of the ballot.
Bob, let's talk a little bit about concealed pistol licenses. When we chatted an hour ago with Ottawa County Clerk Justin Roebuck, he said he was a little surprised in his county. The CPLs listed was 4,920 for 2020, almost double what was issued in 2019, in a 50-50 split between in-person and online, and 37%, according to Justin, of those CPLs were issued in the 3 months before November 3rd. What about Allegan County? Similar type of ratio in your regard? More or less? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can. Very, very similar numbers. Understand that Ottawa County population-wise is about 3 times as large as Allegan County. But we set a record with the number of residents applying for and securing a concealed pistol license in 2020. We had 2,855 residents successfully get that CPL. Understand that that's our most ever that we've ever had through our office at 113 Chestnut Street. Understand also that it's better than our previous high in 2016, also a presidential election here, by about 800. So that's a really big number, and it bests last year's number by about 1,002. So we had a record-setting year for people applying for and securing concealed pistol licenses. It doesn't surprise me at all when you talk to a lot of the people coming down between what they saw on TV and in Seattle, Portland, and other places. I think a lot of people are looking to be safe and protect themselves. And then it seems like in big election years when people are concerned about one policy or another, they all want to make sure that they've got that CPL before any policies change.
For those who may not have heard our conversation with Justin, I want you to repeat it for those listeners. CPL is something that cannot be done online. You have to be in person for it, right?
Yes, we don't do CPLs through our office online. You have to come down to the office and fill out an application because you have to swear to an oath in front of one of our deputy clerks. That's a kind of a real important part of doing that because when you swear to that oath, if you violate that, basically that contract between you and the state, you are obviously guilty of some challenges there. You can renew online. That's different. For your initial CPL, you've got to come in, but you can renew online. And my understanding is the state sends out an application for renewal. And
part of the process is the fact that, yes, your office issues the license, but you're sort of like a conduit, I think, more than anything else. If there's an issue, if there's a flag coming up, the flag will come from Lansing, the state police, then it won't really come from your office, would it?
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up because that's really important. Understand that previously, before a law change in 2015, the old gun boards in each county would determine who got the CPL. And it was a very inconsistent manner of doing things. And so when I was in the legislature, we in fact changed that so that the application would be received by the county clerk and then sent off to the Michigan State Police, who do a background check. They check fingerprints and make sure that that individual is legally allowed to hold a CPL in Michigan.
395-1450. Let's get to a call. Good morning. You're on the air with Bob Genetski of Allegan County.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, I'm signed up for a CPL class, and now do I go to the clerk's office after the class with my certificate, and they do the work with the state police and everything?
Yep. First of all, really good question. I appreciate that. You want to make sure that you go to the training class. Make sure that the training class is a certified class by the NRA or by the Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners or one of those organizations, and that'll be indicated on your training certificate. Then you bring your training certificate and your driver's license to the county clerk's office. You're going to fill out an application there with your $100 fee. Then you're going to go over to the sheriff's department with your receipt from our office as well as your training certificate, and they will fingerprint you, and then that'll be sent off to the state police, who will do the final steps as far as making sure that you're eligible for that, and then they'll inform the county clerk's office, who will mail you that CPL.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Most of the other services that your office provides, Bob, can be done online, but one that can't is new issuance of the CPLs. I think there's another one that's involved where people have to come directly to you, to your office, to be able to take care of things.
Yeah, the notary public, people have to come in as well because they've got to subscribe to an oath there. Also, in order to get a birth record, in most cases, people are going to need to come in person. There are some opportunities for them to send in a photocopy of their driver's license or something like that. We are improving some of our other services to be online, but in general, some of the big ones that you have to swear to or subscribe to an oath, you need to come in person.
Now, clarify one thing before we button up our segment today, Bob. The situation involving the Allegan District Court. Where are we standing on that? Because there was some closure situations involving COVID. Are we still closed down? Can you explain what's going on with the district court right now?
The latest as far as the district court, the most important thing when it comes to the clerk's office is they're not doing weddings up there. And I tell you, Gary, I feel so awful when somebody drives down all the way from Holland or from Wayland or from Plainwell and they want to get married. And we've had a couple of people do it and they hadn't called ahead to the district court's office. At this point, they're not doing weddings and they won't be for the foreseeable future. As soon as we know, we'll make sure that we inform the media.
Yeah, because that would be something that definitely we want to be able to pass along for the Allegan District Court, not the circuit court. Right. It's the district court that is involved in some of the things going on as well. For more information, we will put a link to Bob Genetski's webpage, which is AlleganCounty.org. Well, I got // clerk and all that other stuff. So we'll just put a link to the clerk's page when we put the description of this podcast on our webpage at WHTC.com in a little bit. One final thing, Bob. Can you guys catch your breath right now? After all the election hullabaloo and all that, or are we still, oh no, we got to do another one of these in May and then, municipal elections in November. Never stops.
We're catching our breath. As you're all aware, Zeeland Public Schools, Hudsonville Public Schools, and Holland Max Transit already has issues on their ballots. We're of the belief one or two of our townships want to run some things too. And we already got one resolution to put something on the ballot for August. We don't mind it. It's what we do. 2020 was a big year. 2021 is going to be a year of fine tuning and making sure that we're all on the same page and working hard together to serve the people of Allegan County.
Yeah. With that, I'll button up the conversation with Bob Genetski. Bob, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Wish you and everybody at the clerk's office well. And if all goes well, we'll do this all again next month. Thank you, Bob.
Sounds good, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob Genetski on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.